Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be using React, and we're going to use the map function, we're going to be using Axios, and we're going to be using some bootstrap. So in today's project we're going to be making this contact card. We're using an API, the Faker.js, to get all the contact information. So let's get started, and please everyone, if you like these videos, and would you please consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the like button. It would mean a lot to me. Thanks very much. Okay, so let's jump into the VS Code. Okay, so we're going to need to install some dependencies first. So we're going to install npm install Axios. We're going to use Axios, and we're going to install React Bootstrap. So to install React Bootstrap, we just go to React Bootstrap to have the documentation here, and we need this line of code here, so we just copy this and paste it in there. We don't need npm install again. So we're importing Axios and React Bootstrap. Okay, press enter on that and let npm install it for us. I'm just going to pause the video for a second now while that's importing. Okay, so them packages are installed now. So inside our app.js file, I've removed everything. All we have is our function and the main div with the class name of app. So let's start our development server. So I'll do npm start. Okay, so when everything is cleared out of our app.js, we just have a complete blank file. I'm going to be using bootswatch. Bootswatch provides free themes for Bootstrap, so it changes the default themes inside in Bootstrap. And the one I used for this project is this one here, Superhero. So to use that, we just download, and we download the bootstrap min.css file. Click that and wait for that to download. Okay, and once that's downloaded, then just drag the file inside into your source folder. Okay, now once we have it inside in our source folder, we'll go to our index.js file, and we'll just import that CSS file in here. So say import /bootstrap .min.css. Just rename that. I already have one in that folder, that's why I renamed it. Okay, so we'll go into our import that, save that file now. It's compiling, and then if we go back to our app, we see that we have a different background because this CSS file is applying different themes to our project. Okay, so let's jump back into VS Code and we'll start on the project. Okay, now, so let's start on the navbar. I'm going to create inside in the source folder, I'm going to create a folder called components. Okay, inside this components folder, we'll start with the with the navbar. So nav bar component .js, and I'll be using the extension ES7 React Redux GraphQL React Native Snippets, and I'll show you what this does. It's a shortcut for setting up the functions in React. So just close that. If I type in RAFCE and press enter, it automatically creates a function with the name and exports it as default down at the bottom. Okay, so inside our navbar we're going to use some bootstrap. So up at the top, we're going to import, and we're going to import a container from bootstrap, and we're going to import the navbar, and we're going to import that from React Bootstrap. Okay, so in here then we're going to have a navbar. This is just all bootstrap navbar, and we're going to say sticky, so it'll always stay on the top. We're going to set it to the top, and we're going to give it a background color of primary. With our new CSS is going to have a different color for primary compared to the original bootstrap, and we'll give it a variant. I'm going to set that to dark. Okay, close that tag, navbar. So inside the navbar, we're going to set a container. And then in the navbar, we're going to have navbar. We're going to have a brand, navbar.brand. Going to set the href is going to be equal to home. And we're just going to give it some text of contact form. Okay, we'll save that now. So inside in our app.js, then we'll bring in that navbar. So just create a line, and okay, a shortcut then to import the navbar from that file is just go to the very last letter after the navbar and press Ctrl and spacebar, and now it's after finding it in the components folder first, so we press tab, and now it's after importing that component for us. If that doesn't work, you'll just have to type it out, so we'll save that now. We'll just wait now for it to finish compiling. Okay, so we have an error here. Whatever is after happening, just quickly. Okay, let's go in and see. I have a typo here. Okay, so it should be navbar.brand with a capital B. So let's go into our project again, and now we have our contact form navbar. Okay, So next on the list is contacts. So inside in our components folder again, we're going to call a file, create a file called contacts.js, and we're going to use the shortcut again, RAFCE. Okay, so for our contacts then, we're going to be using a button and a card from Bootstrap, so we're going to import them. Going to import the button and the card. Going to import them again from React Bootstrap. Okay. Now, alright, so next we're going to create a contact file. So we go back to our components folder, plus we're going to create a contact.js. Okay, so in our contact.js file, and we're also going to need a contacts. So let's see. Okay, so contacts. Okay, now so inside here, I'm going to use the shortcut again, RAFCE. Now I'm going to import. So inside here, we're going to use fragment. Then we're going to have a use effect, so we're going to import the use effect. And we're also going to be holding some station here, so we're going to bring in use state. Okay, so we're going to import Axios as well to make the API call. So we're going to import Axios from Axios, and we're going to use some bootstrap as well. So we're going to import column and row, so we can kind of have a grid effect for the cards for all the contacts. We're going to import col and row. I'm going to import them from React Bootstrap. Okay, so we're going to have some state at the top here. We're going to say this is going to hold our contacts after our API call. So const, and we're going to use the use state. So we're just going to say contacts, and we're going to set contacts. So we're going to give that initial state of an empty array, and so we're going to have a loading state as well. So once the API is complete, then once the API call is complete, we're going to show all the contacts. So we're going to set a loading piece of state, a boolean, and we're going to say set loading. Then we're just going to have a use state, and we're going to give it an initial value of false. Okay, now we're going to make our API call. So we're going to say we're going to create a function called getContacts. And we're going to use an asynchronous function, so we're going to say async. Okay, so we're going to use a try catch for our asynchronous, so we're going to say try catch. So first thing is going to try and fetch the data from the API, so we're going to set a variable of res. So we're going to say res is going to be equal to await. And then we're going to say axios.get. Now, so I'm just going to get the API URL here. I'm going to paste it in. So we're going to make an Axios GET request to https://randomusers.me.api results equals 12. You can set this to anything you want. I've just set it to 12 for this tutorial. So what this does here is just making the API request and it's bringing back 12 contexts. So that's just a query inside that. Okay, so once we make that request, it's going to await the results. So once the results come back, we're going to set the contacts. That's our set contacts is our use state on line 7. So we're going to store the array here. So we're going to say set contacts. And we're going to set it to response res.data. Axio always returns response.data. And inside in that API request there's going to be results. So we're going to set it to the results. Okay, once that's done, then we're going to set the loading to true. And on the error, if an error comes in, we're just going to alert the error. So we're just going to alert error.message. Okay, so to get this function to work, then we're going to put it in a use effect. So just above our state, then we're going to say a new line. So we're just going to use the use effect function. We don't need that part. We want it to just run once the page loads, so we just use some empty square brackets, and in here inside the use effect we're going to call this function we just made, get contacts, which I just noticed I've spelled wrong. Okay, so okay, let's go back to our app.js and we bring in the contacts. That's after importing automatically with React. If it didn't import automatically for you, just type in this line of code on line 2, import contacts from .components.contacts. Let's save that. Contacts.js use state is not defined. Contacts.js. Just a typo there, use state. Save that now. Okay, we're just getting some warnings because we're not using these dependencies yet. So let's go back to our contact form. Inspect element. I'm using the React DevTools add-in. So just you can install this if you just go to the Google Web Store. Just type in React DevTools, Developer Tools, and this is the one I'm using. If you download this and install it, it's very handy for debugging and seeing what state you have in your React app. So I'd recommend downloading that. So we'll go back to our app now, and inside in our React DevTools and inside contacts, if we click this state, you open the state, now we can see all our API, all our contacts that the API call has brought back for us. And just to show you how I got the API, so if we copy this line of code here, just the address, copy that, go back to Google, just paste in that address, press enter. There's the API call. And this is how I brought it back when I said response.data.results. Here's the results. So bringing back in all the contacts. So you can see it's bringing back gender, location, addresses, time zone, email information. So if you're creating an application, you just want some fake information to fill it up and get it going quickly. Okay, so we'll go back to the app now. So down in our return, I'm going to change this div to a fragment. React fragment. First thing we want to return, we're going to say is a row. Right, so inside in our row, we want to use some JavaScript inside here, so we use our curly brackets, and only when the loading is true. So initially it's starting out as false, and when the API returns, it's going to be true. So only when it's true, use 2 double ampersands. We want to map through all the contacts in our state. So we're going to say contacts dot map, and we'll want for each contact inside there. We're going to return a React Bootstrap column. Right. So inside in a React Bootstrap column, we were going to use the small, medium, and large to make it responsive. So we say on the small screen, it's going to be 12 wide. On a medium screen, 6. And on a large screen, we're going to set it to 4. Now, I'm going to set it, the key is going to be equal to the contact dot login dot UUID. So that's going to be a unique key. And where I got this from is inside in the API call, the contacts, the login. Let's just find one now. So our login, and here's the UUID. So that's a unique identifier for each one. Okay, so back to our app again. Just close that for a second. Okay. So let's just return something first, and we'll see how it's looking. So we'll return the contact. We'll go back to our API call and see what we can return. So we'll bring back our first and last name. So it's going to be contact dot name dot first. So contact dot name dot. Just check, do they have a capital? If no, okay. So we save that now. Let's go back to our app. Okay, so you can see all the names is coming back, and you see that the way it's being separated into 3 columns. You go down to the smaller one, S1 column. That's because we're using the row and the columns. On the small screen, it's going to take up 12. That's the way React Bootstrap works. 12 is going to be the full screen, say. Then 6 is going to be half that. So we get 2 once you go. See, there's now 6 and 6 is 12. Then on the large screen, then it's going to be 4. So 4 goes into 12 3 times. It's going to take up 3 columns. So that's not very good at the minute, so we'll finish off our app and bring back the proper contact card. Is not very useful like that. Okay, so instead of bringing back just the first name, we're going to create just a contact component. So we haven't made this yet, so just create this now quickly. So a contact, I'm going to pass through a prop of contact is going to be equal to the contact. Okay. Now, so over in our components folder again, create a new component, and we're going to make it that contact that we've just used in our contacts.js file. Okay, contact.js. So we're going to use the snippets again, RAFCE. Okay, so back in our contacts.js, we'll just bring in that. So say imp, or we can try our shortcut again. We can scroll down here, and after the T, press Control Spacebar. And there's after finding that for us. So if we scroll back up, we'll see it's after importing it for us. So we save that. Everything is good. So, okay, we'll go into that contact.js file now, and we'll create each individual contact. So we're going to be using a bootstrap button and card here. So I'm going to import them from bootstrap. So import. And we're going to say button. We're going to import them from React Bootstrap. And in here we're going to bring in a button. And we're going to bring in the card. Okay, so just use an empty fragment. Okay. So we're going to bring in the card from React Bootstrap. We're going to set a class name here of some React Bootstrap classes. Class. Okay, so we're going to give it a margin on the top and the bottom. My, that's React for that, of 3. Margin top and bottom, we're going to give it a padding of 3. And we're going to have the card rounded corners, so we'll add a rounded glass. And we're going to give it a height of 90. Okay, so in our card then we're going to have a card image. Card.image. And I'm just going to add some inline style in here. So we're going to say style is going to be equal to. So we're going to say object fit contain, and that contains the image inside the card for us in the top. And then we're going to use some bootstrap. We're going to set a variant to the top to put the image on the top. Variant equals top. And the source. So the image source is going to be. So from our contact, it's going to be the dot picture. And we're going to set it to the large image. So where I'm getting the image from inside in our API So our results, and we scroll down to picture. Here's the picture, here's the large, and what's that returning is just URL address for that image. Okay, so we've passed in our prop, so we're going to destructure it in here. Contact. Okay, image is a self-closing one, so we delete that. Okay, so after our image, we're going to start the card.body. Card.body. Inside the card.body, we're going to set a card title. And for the card title, we're going to set it to, use some backticks. And we're going to use a $sign and 2 curly braces. This allows us to add some variables into a string. So we're going to set it to the contact name. So we're going to set it to the first name. Then we're going to create a space. Then the contact name last. Okay, we'll save that. We have an error here of 2 card titles. Get rid of that. We just have to close with our card. Save that. Okay, let's go into our app and see if this is working. Okay, so now we're bringing back the picture and the names of each person. Okay, we're getting there now. So after our card title and our card image, we're just going to bring in a card subtitle. So CARD card.subtitle. I'm going to set some more bootstrap classes in here. So we're going to give it a margin bottom of 2. And I'm going to set the text muted. Okay, so in here we're going to say address. Save that. We'll just quickly go back in. I don't know why that keeps going. Why the card on the bottom keeps changing. Save that. Go back to our app. And now we can see address, and the text.muted makes it slightly grey. Okay. Now we'll start inputting some more information. So we're going to use card.text. So inside our card.text, we're going to put in a div. So inside this div, we're going to set a strong tag. And we're going to say number. We're going to set the number then to the contact location, the street number. So this is going to be the start of the address. We're going to say contact dot location dot street dot number. And where I'm getting all these from, if we go back to our API, so I'm bringing these back from here. See, we have the location, street, and then number. Okay. And then under that then we'll create another div. So I'm just going to copy this and alter it. So paste that in. This is going to be, instead of number, this is going to be street. And instead of number here, this is going to be name. Okay, so we're going to do the same again. We're going to copy this. And instead of street, this time we're going to have city. Just after noticing I have a typo. SDR. Okay, so city, contact location, street. This should be city. We'll copy it again for the next part of the address. It's going to be state. Change the city here to state also. Okay, we'll save that now and just see if it's all working okay. Okay, so yep, we have the image, the name, address, and we're bringing back. Okay, we have a typo. We're not bringing back the state and the city. Oh, we need to get rid of street on the city. We need to get rid of street on the state. Save that now. We'll go back in. Now everything is as it should. Okay, so I'm just going to add in some extra things here now. We're going to copy this line of code on 17. And below the car.text, we'll paste that. And instead of address now, we're going to put in phone. And we're going to just copy this. I'm going to use card.text again. And that's after changing again for some reason. So the card.text, we'll paste in our div. We don't need the strong tag this time. And we're going to say contact.phone. Okay, we're going to copy all of this again one more time. Instead of phone, this time we're going to have email. And we put email here. Okay, I'll just save that and see did I copy it right. Email and phone. Okay, so then we're just going to use a bootstrap button, and I'm going to wrap the whole thing in an A tag to make it clickable. But first I'm just going to bring in the button. I'm just going to apply some style into this button. So I'm going to say style is equal to, we're going to say a border. I'm just going to put a border radius of 20 pixels. And we're going to set the class name is equal to, we're going to use some bootstrap again. We're just going to say the width dot 100, and that's going to set the width of the button to the 100% of the card. And I'm going to set a variant to primary, and it's not going to be the blue like you'd see with the normal. Bootstrap is going to be set to orange because we have our different CSS brought in. We have bootswatch brought in. So it's going to be a slightly different color. So save that now. Go back into our app. Now we can see our buttons. We have nothing in them yet, so just inside in the button we're just going to have contact written inside the button. Now, see our buttons and the bootswatch is adding some hover effects. React Bootstrap and the bootswatch and all them, they're very good to get a site up and running very quickly. They've a lot of under the hood stuff. Now, so I'm just going to add an A tag around the button, and we're just going to so I say I'm going to set the href now. The href is going to be equal to, we're going to use some backticks again and use some JavaScript in here, and we're going to set a mail to now we use our $sign and our curly brackets to use some JavaScript in here. And we're just going to put in contact dot email. Just close our tag there, and we move the closing tag of the A. We'll bring that down to the end of our button. So we're just after wrapping our button in an A tag, and what the href mail to does is it'll open your default mail browser and put in the contact email as where it's going to be sent to. So we'll save that now. This won't work, it'll be a fake email address, but if you're making a contact kind of form for your own website and you wanted the user to be able to contact the person, this is a handy way of inserting their email address. We go back to our app, just make that larger, and if we click on a contact, now you can see the email is after popping up with this contact's email address. Let me just try another one as an example. Now we have one for another contact with this email address. So that's just a handy thing for creating a link to pop up an email with the person's address in it. So if we click on some other email address, it pops up your default email with the user, with the contact's email address. So it's very handy. Okay, that's just a quick little tip. Okay, so we're going to add a container on the main page to make it a bit narrower. So we go back to our app and go to our app.js. So we're just going to wrap the contacts in a bootstrap container. Okay, bring the contacts inside the container, and we just import that. So that's after importing. Save that now. Go back to our app. Now you can see is after tidying it up, everything is wrapped inside a container for us. And we just go into our DevTools. And you can see Bootstrap and make it responsive for us. So we've finished our app now, and if you wanted all the text to float to the right, like what Bootstrap normally would do, just go back into our app. We go into our app.css. We don't need any of this CSS here because we're just using React. We can delete all that. If you want your text then floating on the left, just comment out that, save your file. Go back to our app, and now the text is on the right, and we'll see that our responsiveness is still working. Now, thanks very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed these videos, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. You'll be notified when all new videos are posted. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.